What is going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of, that's right, your favorite show, Medical Sales Live. I'm your host, Omar M. Khatib, and let's get this party started as usual. Oh, look at that. Already jumping in the chat. We got people. See, people know what I'm going to ask next. Drop in the chat what city you're joining from. Let's see who we got here. The great, the powerful Jeffrey Beecher. Thank you, Jeffrey. Always good seeing you. And actually, let me adjust the banner here. You know, for this show, we don't want a little bubble. We want, there we go. Nice, big, prominent banner. Of course, we got people over on Zoom. Hey, Janet. Kim Tucker. Hey, Kim. Good to see you. And more. So while we kind of let that catch up, and of course, am I working on LinkedIn, right? Because I always have to check. So if you're watching on LinkedIn or YouTube and you can confirm with a comment that, yes, you can see me, yes, you can hear me, I would greatly appreciate that. Because we try and get the show to be as perfect as possible. And looks like it's as close as it can be. So let's jump straight into today's topic. Okay. So today's topic, how to engage with physicians at scale using their LinkedIn post comment section. Okay. So why is this important? Well, let me tell you why. Actually, I don't want to tell you. I'd rather just show you, actually. So many of you saw earlier today, I made a post about access. Okay. And so let me bring this post up. Here we go. So let's take a quick look at this post, okay? It's very important to understand this. All right. Is that my post? Hold on, let's go confirm. There we go. All right. So Anwar, thank you everybody for confirming that you can hear me. Okay, so now let's look at some data real quick before we jump into the lesson. Okay, so here's the thing. Okay, so here, what do we have here? Let me zoom in a little bit more. We have reps decline in access since 2008. Okay, now let me pull up my phone. I'm going to read to you a little bit of these stats because, you know, sometimes you don't always have data, right? You have to, you know, one thing I would say is that you have to be good at making decisions without data. You're not going to always have it. But when you have data, hell, you better use it, because if you don't, you're just pretty much another person in the room. So here is a study that was done, okay? And it was based on 240,000 to 340,000 physicians starting from 2008 all the way to 2016, okay? And what they're trying to see is percentage of accessible physicians, okay? Now let's define what a rep accessible physician is. The way this company defined it is that a physician that meets with more than 70% of the sales reps who try to approach them. So if the rep sends, if they get 10 different emails or calls from reps, they take 7 out of those 10, okay? So that's a rep accessible physician. So here it is. It used to be at 80%. And then every year it's going down and down and down all the way to 2016. Now it's almost pretty much half the amount of what it was in 2008 in less than a decade. And it gets down to 44%. That's in 2016. So this study is almost a half decade old. It's 5 years old. What do you think happened from 2016 to 2022? Do you think it got worse or do you think it got better? Right? Now, here's the other thing that you don't see on this. In 2015, 46% of rep accessible physicians, right? There are 46%, right? But in 2016, along with this 44% number, 38% were access restricted, meaning that they met from 31 to 70% of reps. So 40%, almost 40% only met with 30 to 70% of the reps, and almost 25%, 18% were severely axis, meaning 30% or fewer. Okay. Now, here's the other thing that you have to know. When they did meet with reps, on average, how much time did the rep get with a doctor? You think it was 10 minutes? You think it was 15 minutes? You think it was 20 minutes? No. It was exactly 2 minutes. 2 minutes, my friends. So you got to ask yourself, how are you going to survive today? Because access has been taken away from you. Like, I'm not trying to be the boogeyman here. I'm not trying to scare anybody. Maybe I am. Maybe I'm the only one who cares enough to tell you the truth here, right? Because clearly your company did not give a damn to try and explain this to you. What has your company done for you lately? That's the one thing. And whoops. Looks like my audio is definitely working on LinkedIn. Because let me give a shout out to my good friend Jim Surik, who talked about this earlier today, right? And by the way, for some reason, I don't know what the heck is going on with my phone. I hope it's just my phone. If you can see me on mobile, please comment and confirm yes, or if you can't see me, just tell me, because it's just driving me nuts. Like LinkedIn needs to get their act together. And I'm going to message them about this. I literally talked to them just a week ago, and this is just completely unacceptable. It's garbage. Okay, so my point is, and let me stop sharing my screen. Your company did not give a damn enough to tell you about this, right? What have they done? They've just raised quota on you, and they say, hey, just go figure it out. We're going to raise quota on you 15, 18, 25%, right? So that's why I'm here. I'm here to help you. Your company may not give a damn about you. I do. I care about you. So today's topic, we're going to get into Q&A later. This is going to be a quick topic. Okay. Thanks, Jeff, for confirming you can see me on mobile. I appreciate it, because I'm always paranoid about that. So I'm going to teach you how to engage at scale with physicians using their LinkedIn content. Why is this important? Well, a couple reasons. Sales, as we all know, is a transference of emotion. Part of that emotion is establishing trust. That's a point of persuasion, right? The moment you trust somebody, you're going to be more persuaded by them, right? And so not everybody can make content or share articles. Kind of an excuse, but I'm trying to be reasonable here. But your customers do make content, and even if they do not make content, there are peers that they follow who make content. Your goal is, how do I be seen? Okay. So now let me go and turn this into presentation mode. Okay. So there's going to be two things we're going to cover here. How do you engage physicians at scale using their content, right? And then how do you discover influencers? So let me share my screen. And you guys, as always, do me a small favor. You let me know when you can see the screen, okay? So this is and let me reduce the size of this banner here. Let's go with a bubble. Nope, that's still minimal. There we go. Okay. So here's the thing. And actually, hold on. Let's see. That's a little bit better. Okay. So let me remove this banner first. So you guys comment, let me know that you can see the screen. I think you can. So let's talk about the first thing, which is, how do you discover influencers? Like, why is that important? Okay. And part of it, and let me go to this banner and remove it for a second. Okay. Part of this, okay, is because you're trying to learn at scale, right? And use that to be seen by your customers. So for example, Dr. Corey Calendine, right? Corey Calendine, look at that. He has 91 comments. Okay. So if we move forward on this, okay, here's how you discover these influencers, right? Now you start to know, like, this network, let's say within orthopedic surgery, who's engaging, right? Who's likely to influence others, right? And the reason why this is important is because then you know what levers you have to pull to essentially drive product adoption, right? So these are all comments from Dr. Callendine's post, right? Now, let's go back. Let's go back to the post itself, okay, and take a look. What was the post? He asked, and by the way, did you notice something? He asked orthopedic surgeons and device reps. I don't know what the hell else people need to see to be convinced that, hey, their customers literally want them to engage with them on this platform. I mean, I don't know what it's going to take, right? I've kind of given up. So the people who actually are smart enough to pay attention, like those are the people I worry about helping. Those are the people in my program, right? So he asked, what's your go-to hip stem for hip replacement? Guess what? Some device reps comment, but then a lot of physicians comment. So aside from learning which physicians are maybe active on LinkedIn, etc., you start learning from this content, right? So that way, if you're in hip replacement, you're next time in a case, or let's say you're just trying to develop a relationship with the surgeon, you can go up to them and be like, hey, Dr. So-and-so, I took some screenshots of these surgeons who talked about their favorite hip replacements. Here's what they said. I'm just kind of curious, what are your thoughts on this? Right? The key is, how do you start getting engagement? Like the more you learn how to talk like a surgeon, and I would even take it further. You don't even need to learn how to talk like a surgeon. Just learn how to ask questions like a surgeon, right? Do they go and have these long, drawn out questions like, considering different hip replacements, all that? They just go be like, hey, Dr. Smith, just out of curiosity, like, what hip replacement do you like to use? And like, what do you think about what these guys had to say, right? That's how they talk, okay? Now, let's talk about being active and engaging, right? When I went on this post, again, the surgeon literally asked device reps to comment, right? I saw very few. One of them, Kevin Brown, many of you follow him. He has great content here on LinkedIn. He is a medical sales professional. He actually commented, and look, Dr. Callendine, Dr. Crawford, Dr. Bodner, 3 different well-known surgeons directly engaged with him. Is it like, seriously, is it any wonder why this guy's doing so well? Is it kind of a surprise? Why is he able to develop these great relationships with surgeons? His business is doing well, I'm sure, too. It didn't happen by accident. It's because he's literally just paying attention and doing what they say. He's like, oh, I'm going to go and engage with my customers here because that's where they are, right? All right, let's move forward. Okay. Now, I want to talk about missed opportunities here. Okay. This is a massive missed opportunity. I see this every freaking day on LinkedIn. Every day. Okay. Here we have a very well-known cardiologist. He started the heart failure program at Kansas University. His name is Dr. Andrew Sauer, right? And he made this post, right? And I'm going to let me zoom in a little bit so you guys can see it. Oops, I may not be able to zoom in on here. Yeah, I may not be able to zoom in, but that's okay. Or actually, here, I know exactly what to do. Here we go. Let's zoom in like that. Close this. Okay. So Dr. Sauer made a post. Okay. Here's the original post. Okay. He said, pig to human heart transplant, Nature magazine. Made this post, right? 14 people engaged. He made another post. Promise of pig to human heart transplants. Lots of questions, right? 4 people engaged with it, right? He did a third post. Look at this. The third post, look, by the way, look, he took the exact same article here. See how I said pig to human heart transplant? He did another post about it. What do you think this guy wants? Do you think he wants people to engage? So finally, people start engaging. We have 80 likes, which I can tell you algorithmically probably got to the tens of thousands, probably maybe 10 or 15,000 views on this, right? 3 comments? Are you kidding me? Okay, let's see what the comments are. Here are the 3 comments. One is from a nursing director. Okay. One is from a commercial specialist. Another one is director of sales. Wow, amazing, incredible. Okay, Chelsea, Susan, no offense, I'm so sorry. I don't mean to call you guys, to call you ladies out. You should probably consider joining my program. By the way, you'll definitely benefit from it. But why would anybody even go out of their way to comment on such like, sorry, half-ass comments like that, right? It's just not going to happen, right? Um, there we go. So that's literally your competition, right? It's just like lame comments like that. Again, sorry, don't mean to call anybody out here, but like that's like the majority of reps. Okay. So let's move forward. Okay. So what should you do? I'm going to teach you my framework. I call it observation, right? Observation and question. Okay. So the first thing that I did, right? I searched to learn more about this, and I'm gonna exit out of this this presentation screen. It's probably gonna be easier for me to just show it to you guys like this. Okay, here we go. Let's zoom in here. So first thing, this is what I did. He's talking about xenotransplantation. I know nothing about it. Well, there's this great website called google.com, Google. Think they're going to be a really big thing. You go there and I type in the obvious thing, which is we talking about clinical obstacles. So I put clinical obstacles to with pig to human heart transplant, right? There's different things that pull up, right? Different articles, right? Then I just grab one, right? So this one, I went with this one, I think, because this was in 2007. Even though it's an old one, it does talk about the advantages, right? I skip the abstract, I skip the method and design. You have to learn how to read research paper. And I get to the discussion, the many potential advantages of xenotransplantations. I read this whole process I'm showing you took literally 5 minutes. Okay. Then I went back to the post. All right, here it is. All right. So here's the post. And I left him a comment. I said, hey, ethics aside, it seems that xenotransplantation does provide an advantage as it potentially solves the waitlist issue. That said, what are the potential clinical hurdles to doing this? Right? And I used some relevant hashtags. The next thing I did, I just clicked these 3 little buttons right here. I sent him a message. And I said, hey, Dr. Sauer, sorry to bother you. I know you're busy. But you mind commenting on my comment here? I'd really appreciate it. Doctors post because they want comments. So he went and commented. Again, there's only 3 comments. But again, when I left that comment, look, there were only 4 people who liked the post. By the time he commented back, that number had grown to 25. So he leaves this very nice long answer, right? Explains his position. I reply back, right, to start a discussion. Well, let's look at the people who like the post. Look, cardiology nurse practitioner, past president of the American Association of Heart Failure Nurses, postdoc at Harvard, perfusionist, the chair of advanced cardiovascular medicine, Brigham Williams, another physician, the CEO, physician CEO. This is value, my friends. This is how you build a network. This is how you persuade, right? And even with my own post, look, we had the nursing director at Lee Health, and then this cardiac surgeon who liked my comment. Now, I know what some of you reps who are listening are going to say this stupid thing of, well, Omar, what if none of these people who like the post or like my comment are in my territory? That's not the point, my friends. The point is for you to be seen and to develop yourself into a person worth meeting with. And if you're smart, let's say you work in a startup or even a big company. Obviously, you're going to go look at nursing director from Lee Health and you say, oh, Lee Health is in a different territory. Guess what you're going to do? You're going to send a message to the teammate that you know who's covering that territory and be like, hey, I don't know if you've been trying to get into Lee Health, but this this lady who works there as a nursing director has been engaging with my comment. You should probably hit her up. Right? That's how you need to think. Okay? Let's move on. Now, all of this happened, right? within 24 hours. Okay. Let's look at another example. Okay. And this is, and so that's how you want to engage with a physician in their post, right? They post something, you don't know about it. That's okay. Go look it up on Google. You can even read some of the comments left by other physicians, right? Like, look. Okay, let's look at the post earlier about hip implants. You don't need to know anything about hip implants. You can go read what these doctors have to say and ask a question based on this, right? Okay. Now, let me give you one more example of how to drive engagement. So, I made this post that I knew for a fact was going to do well, and it did. Look, I mean, within an hour, it got 33 likes, 33 comments. I mean, that's pretty damn good engagement. And I said, look, physicians are the only entrepreneurs I know who don't know when they'll get paid or how much. Why is that? Here's what I think. I kind of wrote some things I learned about the reimbursement landscape. Now, did I just throw this up and then pray to God that people were going to engage with it? No. A lot of times, like, when you get to a point where you're creating enough content, you're going to have viral hits, but you have to be creating enough content first. The best way to shortcut that is create the engagement yourself. So I went, grabbed the three little dots here. I grabbed the link and I thought, okay, who's really good about physician entrepreneurship? I'm like, you know what? John Eureka. So I sent Dr. John Eureka. I'm like, hey, and this was it. I sent them the link to the post and I said, hey, mind helping me drive discussion by leaving a comment, sharing your thoughts on this? That's it. Guess what happens? Not only does he leave a comment, look at this long comment, right? Because this is why LinkedIn is better than Twitter, than Instagram. It allows you to have these long, deep conversations within the comment thread, right? And then people see it. Like a lot of these, there's sometimes I feel like there's even more value in getting good at comments and driving value there than making content even. Like, believe it or not, there is an argument for that. And just from his one comment, look at all these people who engage. Like, let me just walk this through. So here we have one physician. We have a vascular specialist. We have a Swarna. She's a surgeon, but also the founder of a MedTech company. We have Brent Lacey, another big name in the industry. Lance Black. He was the innovations director. He's a physician. He's an innovation director over at MD Anderson. Bruce Cleveland, right? Who, by the way, if you don't know who Bruce Cleveland is, Bruce is a friend. But even though friend or not, he doesn't just comment on things to be nice. He's a venture capitalist and investor. He wrote this fantastic book called Traversing the Traction Gap. Whether you're into venture or not, if you're raising money, you got to buy this book. It'll literally lay out a framework of how to raise money and get traction. But like, what do you think this did to my stock, to my brand online? If I'm trying to sell to physicians or anybody, when you have these types of people engaging with your content, that's how you do it, right? And for those of you who, and let me come back here. I'm going to stop sharing. There's a lot of people who, and hold on, everybody. Oh man, why? I think we're good now. Can you guys can those Jeffrey Beecher Google.com? Yeah. Can you guys hear me over on LinkedIn and YouTube? If you can hear me, please confirm. I think we're good now. Okay, yeah. Okay. Oh, so Anas, the name of the book, yes, the name of the book is let me pull it up here. Okay. Traversing the Traction Gap. Okay, Traversing the Traction Gap by Bruce Cleveland. Buy this book. Look, let me give you guys some $1 million advice here. And let's get to Q&A. And by the way, Lindsay, I see your question. I'm gonna answer it. Buy Crossing the Chasm, Crossing the Chasm. Memorize this book inside and out by Jeffrey Moore, and the companion to it is Traversing the Traction Gap. Okay, you want to buy these books. Okay, you buy this book if you're a founder, you're a marketer, you're trying to grow product adoption. You buy this book when you're trying to actually raise money and do it in a way that makes sense to a venture capitalist. Like this, literally, Bruce, over $250,000 from Wildcat Venture Partners went into making this book. Bruce literally, I don't want to speak for him. Bruce probably made this book just to hand out to founders because he got so sick and tired of trying to explain to them what it's going to take for them to get money from him and from his venture partners. So he probably wrote this book just for that. It's a great book. I mean, the frameworks in this, I love this book. It's just awesome. It's an awesome book. Okay, so Lindsay, you said how long did you wait before the second approach? I'm gonna assume the second approach is by sending the message to the doctor. It really depends. If I want it to happen fast, like I sometimes don't wait. I'll just send it right then and there. A lot of times, let's say it's the chair of surgery or just somebody you're kind of nervous about bothering. I'll make the comment. I'll wait and see, like, okay, and this is actually a good test. Is this person good at reading their notifications, right? So I'll make a comment. If it's during the weekday, I'll give it 24, maybe 48 hours. And if I don't hear anything, I'll go grab the link and send it to them, right? That's what I recommend doing. What else? What other questions we have? I'm going to go to the Google Doc and let me refresh it and see if we have any questions at all. Okay, no questions on the Google Doc. And for those who are curious, like, look, there was a post that I made. There's one other post I want to bring this up as a point. Let's see. Here we go. Yeah. So this is just something. It drives me nuts. I wasn't gonna talk about this, but I have to talk about this. But for context, let me pull up this post. Here we go. Yeah, it's getting pretty good engagement. So I posted this just earlier today, and I said that sales reps that worry about the cost of a course or coaching, they never consider the cost of being in the same place a year from now. Okay. The reason why I mention this is because I see a lot of sales reps right now. They've either been laid off, right? Or they're trying to get promoted. They're trying to make more money. And they keep doing the same. And I'm going to be really candid and direct here. They're doing the same stupid things over and over again. And it's just like, it's nauseating, right? They're literally doing, they're trying to force their way into the hospital and stalk a doctor. And then they wonder why they're failing. They wonder why they're not doing very well, right? And, my program is expensive. I know it is. We have payment plans. We got, a lot of support. You get these coaching calls. We do a lot of things, right? You don't have to go through my program. Go look. Matthew Ray Scott and Eric Anderson have a great program as well, right? There's, there are other programs. It just depends on what you need. But this whole notion of, it's so expensive. It's like, well, if you want to make more money, you want to progress in your career, how do you think that's going to happen? You think that's going to happen by accident? You think it's going to happen just you're going to work really hard? I saw Alex Hormozi made a post earlier today. Alex Hormozi is a very successful entrepreneur. And he said that if he was making $70,000 a year, what would he do with his money after living expenses? He said every penny, he would shovel it into courses, professional development, coaching, so he can learn how to make $1 million, right? He has this saying, which I really love, which is called, instead of investing in the S&P 500, invest in the S&Me 500, meaning like invest that in yourself because the S&P 500, like on a great year, it's going to give you what, maybe a 15% return. You can triple, quadruple, 10x your income, like your earning potential if you get some help and you actually learn how to make that level of money, right? So, you know, everybody's different. Just like with a product, my product has an adoption cycle. But I just made this post because there's so many reps who just they come up with such lame excuses, right? And some people legitimately they can't afford a program and coaching or okay, I get that. But there's reps who are making well into six figures. They don't even have a family to support, and even if they did, like they're making good enough money, and they come up with these excuses. I mean, let me tell you the oh, I got something in my teeth. Let me tell you the number one way to really lose respect from with me is when I make a recommendation for a book, like go buy The Traction Gap, and someone says, "Oh, that's an expensive book. It's $20 or $30 or something." It's just like I don't want anything to do with people like that. Just losers. So, all right, let's go to comments and questions. Let's see. Let me go back and forth. Doesn't look like if you're on Zoom, if you have a question, just go ahead and raise your hand. I'll bring you on. And let's see, over on LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter, ask your questions, my friends. Let me give it a second for the feed to catch up. All right, doesn't look like we have many questions. So, um, I'm gonna give it a few minutes for questions. So, couple things. If you want to learn about digital medical sales, you want to hire payroll, go to my profile, go down to my featured section, click the featured webinar, go watch that webinar. Watch my webinar. It's free, but along with it, you get a free LinkedIn and career consult with me. Okay. It's a great consult. You're going to learn a lot on that consult. You are going to learn about my program, but I'm very quick to figure out like, hey, are you a fit for my program or not? If not, that's okay. The whole reason why I do those I lose money on those LinkedIn consults, by the way. But I do that mainly because I try my best to help people. They can't join my program today. That's perfectly fine. But I try my best to genuinely help people. Go to my features section of my profile, go watch that webinar, steal those ideas, make use of them. All right, we got some questions. Look, let me give a shout out to somebody here. So Guida Loveras. By the way, Stephanie Barry, I'm going to come to your question next. Let me give you a great example of what it means to take action, right? Like people who are all in. Guida came to my program, okay, a couple months ago, right? And at the time, for different reasons, she had some expenses and everything. The program was a bit expensive for her. She went ahead and did it anyway. Like she made it work, okay? And in my opinion, I don't know, I can't read her mind. I think between the pain of the cost and her willingness to just work hard and get shit done, Gaida has just flourished. Like literally in a period of 2 or 3 months, it's like she's like one of my favorite people to watch. There's a few other people. Douglas is another one. Jessica Zamparetti, Ryan LeBlanc. Gaida though, she has no quit in her. Creates fantastic content. When she started the program, she had like 200 followers, barely anything on her LinkedIn. She's got well over 1,000 followers right now on LinkedIn, produces amazing content. She has an Instagram handle that's got now, I think when we started talking, she had 9 or 10,000 people. It's got over 22,000 followers right now on Instagram. She's got a TikTok channel. She does all this beautiful content around leadership, biologics, the orthopedic surgery, right? These are the kind of people that are going to make a killing. They're going to make the lion's share of revenue in the next 5 to 10 years. You might mark my word, right? And I'm not going to feel bad for the people who end up getting laid off or they're struggling because they're doing the same stupid stuff they're trying to do all the time, right? So yeah, big shout out to Guida. Big fan. So Stephanie Berry's question was the book that coincides with the traction gap. Yeah. So, and by the way, both these gentlemen have been on my podcast in the past. So I need to publish the newest one. The first one is Crossing the Chasm, okay, by Jeffrey Moore. And let me give you a little bit of background on this. So Jeff Moore is a venture partner at Wildcat Ventures, where Bruce Cleveland, who wrote Traversing the Traction Gap, he used to be venture partner there. He's now since retired and enjoying life. Okay. Bruce talked to Jeff about the traction gap framework, and Jeff Moore, who's a legend, told Bruce, "You got to write this book." And so Bruce and Wildcat Ventures literally dropped $250,000 into the research of this book. Okay. And what I love about this book, and here, actually, look, we got some time. Let me pull up. I'm going to pull up his framework. You guys give me 1 second. So we don't got too many questions. I might as well have a little bit of fun, talk about things I want to talk about. Let's see. Where are we? Here we go. Wildcat Ventures, the traction gap model. Here we go. So you can okay. Give me 1 second, guys. Let me just share my screen over here. Okay. All right. Yep. Okay. Now I'm sharing my screen because you guys probably all got a headache from that. Okay. So this is a traction gap framework that they develop. You can find this at if you look up Traversing the Traction Gap. You'll be able to find it. I'll get the website for you guys. But again, this is essentially the framework, okay, that they talk about, right? You start from the idea phase to having a product to getting some traction and then scaling. But in each of these phases, they break it down to really define it. Your go-to product stage, your go-to-market scale phase, your go-to scale phase, right? And these different categories, such as minimally viable category, initial product release, MVP is minimally viable product. We all know that one, right? MVR, minimum viable repeatability, and then minimal viable traction. So learning how to, break this down into a framework is very important. And again, with this traction graph framework, which talks about these 4 pillars: product, revenue, team, and systems. What do you need in each one of these phases, right? It's a phenomenal book because versus a lot of other books, right? Let me come back to the screen here. Sorry, everybody. My internet seems to be going a little bit slow. Versus other books that just like talk about stories and just like meaningless like heuristics. The traction gap and crossing the chasm, again, for those who are just joining, I'm going to put these books up real quick. What makes these great books? They actually have frameworks that they've thought through, right? There's a multi-billion-dollar industry called management consulting. I don't know if you heard of it. That's literally what they get paid for. They literally get paid for frameworks, right? And implementing them, obviously. So definitely go out and get those books. They're really fantastic. So again, for those of you who just joined, if you want to learn about digital medical sales, how do you find success and do it at scale today when you have no access and everything? Go to my profile, go down to the featured section, click the webinar, and click learn more, and go watch that webinar. It's free. If you're interested, you can book a free LinkedIn consult with me. So With that being said, doesn't look like we have any more questions. I always appreciate you all. So have a great weekend. And, as always, I'll see you all next week. Be sure, by the way, I always forget this. Be sure to do me a small favor. Okay. Let me get that scroll thing. You love the show? You can go check the show out along with other MedTech interviews. Go look us up on Apple, Spotify, Google, more. Search the state of MedTech and do me a favor, subscribe, give us 5 stars and leave a review. It helps. We're trying to break the top 10 in the medicine section or category on Apple and Spotify. So hopefully you can help us all get there. All right. That is it for now. All right, Stephanie. So Stephanie's smart. She's taking advantage of the time that since people aren't asking questions, she's doing it. The books work for any industry or only digital? No. These aren't Stephanie. This is for any industry. Any industry. And by the way, I hate to say this, there's not a lot of good content in our industry. Like in terms of books, there's I can think of one, maybe two really good medical sales books. They're not even medical sales, more product actually. But yeah, no, that's for any industry, Stephanie. So, all right, everybody, have a great weekend. See y'all next week.